Hi there friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots, and today we're making a standing mummy gnome. He's got these outstretched arms, a super scraggly beard, cute toes, and if you'd like to make him, boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here. I would just let you know you can build this gnome anyway, but these 7-inch styrofoam cones make standing gnomes super easy. I'm going to use an off-white fleece, and you're going to need about a third of a yard, I think. We're just going to basically be cutting 11 inches in a quarter circle. All right, I'm using 3-inch gauze here. I only ended up using 2 of those small packages. I'm using embroidery thread to match my fleece, and then a needle. And then we're going to use whatever faux fur you like. And for an outstretched arm that's posable, I'm using 12 gauge wire. You'll need a nose and 2 hands. You'll also need some kind of marker so we can distress some gauze. And oh my goodness, look at all these gnome feet. I tried so many different ways, but this is the easiest. So I used Dollar Tree hair curlers, dowels, and a wooden base. Speaking of the wooden base, I'm going to go ahead and paint this wood ornament black. Now I wanted it black, and I'm painting the sides as well. If you wanted a different color, go ahead. Now first,
with a friendly gnome reminder to subscribe. How? Just click that red subscribe button below and then the bell for turning on all notifications. Now let's get back to Sarah and the crafts.
Okay, so we are going to start building our gnome body. So you can see here, I have a quarter of a circle. If you did the ghost gnome, this looks very familiar. We're using 11 inches on a quarter circle of fleece. All right, so what we're going to do is put a straight line down the edge. Now, you're not going to need all of this unless you want a really chunky mummy gnome, but we're going to leave a little edge at the top and then roll it, securing it a couple of times with hot glue. And then we're just going to lop off the end and add a little bit of hot glue to that last bit. Now you won't have to worry about the top because we're going to squish it down. It does not going to be a very pointy hat. Okay, so next up we're going to leave about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch on the bottom. Do not glue it down. We don't need to. It's wasteful. Now we're going to use the pattern to make the mummy arms, leaving about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch at the end, and you only want to glue one side. So don't put glue all in the middle because we're going to put our gauged wire down there, or 12 gauge wire down there. So now we're going to do it again. So let's speed this up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And just fold it over. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so we're going to have outstretched mummy arms. So first, we don't know where to put them yet, right? Because we're just guessing. So let's finish up the arms to the point where we can start putting things on our gnome. And all I'm doing is taking those wooden beads and securing the very bottom with a little hot glue. And like I said, before we place the arms, we're actually going to cut a small triangle out of this faux fur. If you need to learn how, I'll put a video below and above. And we're just going to, wherever you'd like the beard, just tack that on with a little glue and then add the nose just at the top of it. Okay? So at this point, it looks a lot like our ghost gnome, right? Except we're building everything on top of the gnome. All right, so now for our wire, I'm going to use a 12 gauge, and now I'm going to need to put my arms on to see how long I want them, and I snip off what I don't want, and where I need to poke a little hole for the wire. So I'm going to place the wire all the way to the end of the bead, snip off about 1.5 inches, actually it's more like 2 inches of wire, and then just bend it in, because that's how it's going to go into the body of our gnome. Yay. And then we're going to add a little bit of glue, not a little, you can use a lot, doesn't matter, so that we can secure it in there. And don't worry if you get glue on it. We're going to cover it up with gauze. So we're going to then use our scissors to poke a hole in the fleece and then go ahead and poke that all the way through once, remove it, add glue, and poke it back in. And now one arm is done. Hello. Hello, little Gnome. Okay, we're going to do it for the same steps for everything else, so I'm going to speed it up. Little dot, little poke, poke it through, and glue it down. Okay, here's what we have so far, and now feet, feet, feet. Use the pattern to make these feet. And again, feet. We need 4 of these. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lift up the front. Do not glue the back. We're just going to glue like where the toes are. So you can see almost halfway down. We add a thin line of glue all the way around and do that for the second foot as well. We're going to let that sit for a hot second while we cut 15 inches and split it. Zoop. I always use my mouth. I'm not supposed to. I learned in finishing school you're not supposed to put that thread in your mouth. But listen, I don't care. All we're going to do now is put a teeny tiny amount of polyfill in the very tippy toes. Don't overstuff it. You don't need to. And we're going to start in from the bottom, however big you want your front toe to be. We're going to go over the top and right back in where we went originally. And then we pull it taut right over the top. And look, it's a toe. All right, now you have an optional, you can move that, by the way. And you have an optional left loop if you want to do a toe indentation over the left side. I did. And then we're going back into that exact same place from the bottom. And now you pull it. You don't have to pull it too tight, but watch what happens. Zoop! Now you have a big toe. All right, so now we're going to go to the towards the smaller toe, right over the top. So we're going in from the top, pushing it through the bottom. And now we're going to come over the top, in from the bottom. So we're creating that second toe. See it? He's so cute. And then you can move it around and pull taut. Again, I wanted 3 toes. You can make 5, 7, whatever you want. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the outer edge like we did with the big toe in and pull it taut. And then all I'm going to do is go in through an existing loop and knot it off. Okay, cut it off. And we did the second toe or second foot already. Or I did the second foot already. You're going to do it now. And then anything that doesn't line up perfectly, just snip off with a pair of small scissors. Okay, now for the distressing, this is like, you could do this 100 different ways. I was in a hurry, so I used 4 feet of gauze and added some marker in gray. Now we're gonna make the dowel legs. Mine are 4 1/4 inches, and all I'm doing, yep, those are scissors. It's super easy to cut them. I cut about 2 inches of the curlers and squished them on. That's it. You don't have to do this part. Now this part, unlike some of our other styrofoam cone gnomes, we're going to place these towards the front. Here you can see about 1 1/4 inches in or so. And why we did that is because we want the back of our gnome to be able to hang over because he's got a bit of a booty. And we're pushing those in, getting them even. And now we're just going to position our feet on the base. They are not going to get glued down right now. But all I wanted to do is A, make sure I covered that wood circle. And B, make sure I wasn't tugging on the legs. So I wanted to position the gnome on top, then add the feet. And then I just hold those in place. And I'm just going to glue down the front only. See this? Only the, oh, you can't see it. I'm sorry. How about this side? Only the front of the foot, okay? And that's going to matter in a second. But we're going to use a couple of the scraps that we cut off for a little bit of legs. We want to cover up those pink curlers. If you can find white ones, more power to you. We're going to add a little glue into where our dowel holes are and just secure those and do the other leg. There you go. And make sure they're even. Again, we want to make sure our gnome is standing. And now we're going to glue the scraps to the legs. Now, again, you could do this 100 different ways. You could use those little baby socks as well, but I just had a whole bunch of scraps and I wanted to use them. So you don't have to go all the way down because our feet on the thing is going to carry it. So we're going to put down his little skirt. Again, we didn't glue it down. And then we're going to put glue right up under those curlers. Now, they are going to help really give a base. You just lift up the guy and put it down before the first one dries. Now, in the back, you're going to add glue to the back of the leg and flip up the little foot part that was still on the ground. You see what I mean? There you go. See it back there? We just lifted that up and glued it. Now you're going to glue the back part of the foot down. Wow. Now you will want to hold this so it's stable, but look, now he's ready. Well, almost, because now I have to go and cover up all the little pink spots that I missed. Like this and like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get our guy ready for gauze. Now this is just the white gauze, not the distressed gauze. So you're going to need quite a bit of this one. And hot glue is hot, so protect your fingers. Add a little glue, zoop, and put it down. Those things are really handy, by the way. And now, when you have to turn, flip your gauze, right? So kind of twist your gauze. There you go, at the turns, and then it will kind of overlay, which is really cool, and then it will lay flat. That's also nice. Over the nose, you're going to want to add a little bit of glue and go over a couple of times in a couple of different ways. But make sure you get that right there. And then you don't have to do this, but I thought it was cute to have some of the gauze going through the beard. So I just split it with the end of the scissors and did it that way. Now, when you've gotten all the way around except your arms, go ahead and snip off or fray the edges on a couple of different places around. And while you're securing all of the gauze, push the bottom that's hanging over under it. And then once you've got that on, now it's time to add our distress gauze over the top. And for the arms, just cut it in half and then use a little hot glue to secure all of those on. Stand him up and look, you're done with an adorable mummy gnome. Boop. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here, and please like and subscribe to Ruffles and Rain Boots.